Today we are doing day 3 of chapter 12. Tomorrow we're going to take a break. I actually won't be here. You guys will be working with a sub. I don't know who the sub is. There is an in-class review with an answer key. There is a take-home review with an answer key. So you have answer keys for everything. My hope is that you can figure out how to do them or ask each other questions or go to math tutoring or meet me before school Friday and we can go over any questions you have. But my hope is even without me being here, you guys will have enough information and enough resources to get the studying done so that you can take a quiz on Friday. Okay? So please help each other out. Focus. Like I said, I don't know who the sub is. I don't know if they'll even know how to do math. So you might have to rely on each other, rely on your classmates, rely on Google, ask whoever's up in the math office before school, get a pass to tutoring for Friday, whatever. There are lots of ways to get help. You'll have the answers. You'll know if you're doing it right or wrong. If you're doing it wrong, it's going to be a little harder since I won't be here, but I have full faith in you guys. Yes?
Are we skipping? Did you already say we're skipping this one?
So in your notes packet, they're a little out of order. I was just getting ready to say that. I think
It's just the next one.
So, yeah, you have to skip one of them. So let me see. Day 3 starts out like this. So go in your notes until you see this. Is it just one page?
2 pages.
2 pages. Okay.
I hate Pythagorean, not Pythagorean.
Okay. So this is the Pythagorean theorem. This, we're doing this with the solving equations using radicals and stuff. You'll see why when we get there. But this is actually more geometry-based than algebra-based, but it's nice to throw in here. You'll see this again definitely next year when you're in geometry. It's not too hard, though, as long as you are doing just fine with the radical thing. So here is the Pythagorean theorem. It says that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It only works for triangles, so 3 sides, when one of the sides has this little box in it. Do you know what this little box means? It's a right angle, which makes this whole thing a right triangle. So the longest side of a right triangle is called the hypotenuse. It's always across from that right angle. So this is the hypotenuse. These 2 are the legs, okay? So you square one of the legs, that goes first. You square the other leg, that goes next. These 2, it doesn't matter on the order. So just one leg, then the other leg. The order that matters is that the hypotenuse that's across from the right angle has to be on its own side of the equal sign, okay? And since we're squaring everything, whichever one's missing, we'll have to take the square root to get that variable by itself. Okay, that's why we learn this right after we learn the square root equations. Even though it is pretty much geometry, the algebra is nice as well. Any questions so far? All right, here's example 1. So sometimes you'll be given a picture of the triangle. Sometimes they'll be listed out like this. I'm going to show you what the picture would look like, just in case you ever have to do it. I mean, on the homework, I know there are some with the picture of the triangle and some where it's listed out. In picture form, the 9 would be one of the legs. This would probably just say B, and then the 15 would be over here. Okay? But we do it the exact same way. We're going to start with a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Instead of the a, I'm going to put 9. 9 squared. B squared is just b squared. I don't know what it is yet. Instead of c, what am I going to put? 15 squared. Good. Now, this is 81. This is what, 225? All right, then what? Subtract the 81 from both sides. B squared equals what? Somebody's like whispering and I can barely hear.
144.
144? All right, now this is where it connects to what we did on Monday. What's my final step to get b by itself? Take the square root of both sides. Now, do you think we need the plus or minus? Can you have a side of a triangle that's negative 12 inches long? No. So when we're talking about distance, distance is always positive. So you only need to put the positive. All right? And if it says like inches or meters or whatever, you just need to keep that right along with it. But we don't have that in this case. What are your questions? Anyone need more time?
Will there ever be ones where the B, like the A is missing?
Yeah, we'll have problems where the A is missing. We'll have problems where the C is missing. Any of them could be missing. All right, go ahead and write this one down.
I don't like it.
All right. How am I going to start this?
A squared plus B squared.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared. What is A? A is 12. B is B. C is 16.
144 plus B squared equals 256.
Yes, the next step would be 144 plus B squared equals what?
256.
256. Good. Then what? Subtract 144 from both sides. You get that B squared equals 112. Yikes. That's not a perfect square.
Tree.
Yep, we got to still take the square root of both sides.
Tree.
We're going to do a tree. All right. The tree. What can we do?
That's it.
Well, I was going to show the tree.
Oh.
You can do 2 and 56.
Yeah.
8 and 7, that's what
All right, so that's why the 2 and the 2, that gives you the 4, square root 7. And again, we don't need the plus minus because we're talking about an actual distance, and distance cannot be negative. It's a length on the figure. Can't be negative.
That's confusing.
Any questions? Which part's confusing?
That. The negative part. 'Cause
Okay,
it's
so
like-
draw me a line that's negative 4 inches long.
I'm saying.
Oh, you can't.
I'm gonna get it confused with the other lesson.
Okay, no.
What if you go back?
Nope.
Either way, it's still 4 feet.
Yep.
Oh, it's just the other way.
Number
Yep.
9.
Number
4 feet is always
3.
If you go under the sea level, that's negative. That's a lot.
4 feet is still 4
We're gonna
feet
keep arguing
nonetheless.
this or not?
Yes, you want to.
I mean, I love a good math debate, but this one is not happening.
Number 9. Number 1.
One of my friends has an Apple TV, and whenever you turn down the volume, it goes into the negatives.
That's awesome.
Well, this TV's not small.
Does it start like absorbing your sound?
Well, I don't
Take
know.
sound out of the room?
It might, I don't know.
There's no such thing as negative volume.
I know, John. I know.
What
All
about
right,
you?
back to this. So, again, we're missing a leg, but we're missing the other leg.
Huh?
Do you think it's going to be any different than the previous problem?
No.
No.
Legs.
The only difference is now it's the A squared that I'm leaving A squared. B becomes 5. C becomes 7. Square the 5 and the 7. You get A squared plus 25 equals 49. From here,
I mean, minus 25.
subtract the 25. What's 49 minus 25? It's 24.
Then we get
6 times 6.
6 times 6 is 36.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, If you're not giving a legitimate answer, I need you to be.
4 and 6. Root it. I'm gonna put it in square root.
Yeah, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. I need to do a tree. 4 and 6. 2 and 2.
3 and 2.
2 and 3. 2's come out. So it's going to be plus or minus 2 square root 6, but do I need the plus minus? No. All right, the tree's going to go away. Is everyone ready for that?
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, tree. There we go. Don't need the negative. My answer is 2 square root 6.
Perfect.
You said 2 square root 2.
Oh my god. For each problem, make a drawing.
What?
Find the length of a diagonal.
Okay. Is this in your notes already?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are going to find the length of the diagonal of a rectangle whose dimensions are 12 centimeters by 42 centimeters. I'm going to draw a picture.
Okay, let's do that.
Draw yourself a rectangle.
Does it have to be, can it be long, hallways?
I am not going to measure your rectangle, so however you draw it, good to go. All right. Now, a rectangle has 4 right angles. The diagonal cuts right across the figure. So that makes 2 right triangles. So the dimensions of the rectangle, when you make it 2 triangles, actually become the legs. Do you see that?
That's why there can't be a negative.
So we're trying to find the
hypotenuse.
hypotenuse, which is the C. Very good. So we're going to... Now, I don't feel the need to call it something other than C. So if this was actually mine, I would probably just make this a C. If you make it an X, that's fine too. Any variable actually will work. Okay, it's going to go right here. So 12 squared plus 42 squared equals either C squared or X squared, doesn't matter. So that's 144. I don't know what 42.
1,764.
Got it. Now, this one is different than the previous examples because we're not finding a leg.
So do we add those?
So we can just add these. You don't have to do inverse operations to get them to the other side. They're already together. So add them. You get 1908.
And they do the same thing, except the
Square root, square root.
tree. Wait.
I'm just going to have it pop up and then I'll show you the tree.
653.
That's a big number.
That's 6.
All right, so if you're still struggling with the trees, this is one where I see that it ends in an even number, so I'm just going to go with 2. And then 2 again. Uh-oh. And then 3. And then 3 again. And then that's it. Okay, so 3 and 3, 2 and 2, 2 times 3, that's where the 6 came from. 53 stays inside.
How do you know
We don't use the negative.
Because.
What?
How do you know why 53 can't go in?
So quickly in my head, I use my divisibility rules. So it's an odd number, so 2's out, and all the other even numbers are out. Yeah. If 2 doesn't go into it, neither does 4, neither does 6, neither does 8. So now the only options are like 3, 5, 7, 9. 3 and 9 you can check by adding the digits. That adds to 8, so 3's out, 9's out. 7 is always the random one. I know that 7 goes into 49 and 56, so I just ruled that out in my head. And once you get that far, I kind of just assume that I'm done. 13 is another random one you might want to check. But that's kind of the process that happened in my head quickly. Questions? All right. Number 5. Good. So I know that this is a square. In a square, if one side is 6, what are all the other sides? 6. So they're all 6. Okay? Same idea as the previous problem. I want a diagonal. So when you draw a diagonal, you created some right triangles.
6 squared plus 6 squared.
2 of them, in fact. Okay? You can call the diagonal, which is going to be the length of that pipe that they're cutting across the field. You can call it X, or you can just leave it C, whatever you prefer. So this is going to be 6 squared plus 6 squared equals X squared. So yes, you already said 36 and 36.
I said 42. Wait, no.
Okay? Then what? Yeah, we're going to do the square root of both sides. Square root of 72. I know that
12 and 6.
2 and 36, right?
That's what I said.
6 and 6. If you want to break it up into 2, 3, 2, 3, you can, but I already see that 6 is the repeater. So this is going to be 6 square root 2. So we have a support wire on a television tower. It is 90 meters long and meets the ground 35 meters from the base of the tower. What is the height of the tower? Here's my picture, okay? There's my tower. So the support wire is like a wire or like a rope that runs from the top down to the ground. So this is the wire. This is the wire. This is the ground. Okay? If you want to even like, you know, make a little grass down, you know.
Watch this disconnected to a blade there.
Don't think that's
A what?
Escalator.
Batman's escape route.
It's like an escalator.
don't think it's necessary.
The cable is just attached to one blade of grass.
There's the signal coming out of the tower. Okay. All right. So anyway, that wire is 90 meters. So label the wire 90. And the distance from the ground where the tower is to where the wire is, that's the 35. We want to know the height of the tower. Well, oh my gosh, it's a right triangle.
Square. Plus.
I'm going to call it X. You could also call it A or B, not C.
A square plus B.
C is the 90. Not, if you called it C but put it in the A or B position, you'd get the right answer, but I would shake my head in disappointment. I wouldn't use C, it's going to confuse you.
I need to copy.
All right, so X is going to represent the height of the tower. All right, so A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I've been kind of brushing over these. Anytime you're using a variable, you need to tell me what the variable stands for, okay? So I've kind of just been clicking through that. We did those first semester, the let statements, so we're going to let X equal the height of the tower. Don't say let X equal the tower, the height of the tower, okay? X represents a number, not an object. All right, 35 squared is 1,225 plus X squared or A squared or B squared, whatever you called it. That equals 8,100. So I need to do 8,100 subtract the 1225.
And you get 6, 8, 75.
Okay?
6, 8, 75.
We'll take the square root of both sides. All right, so I'll start going off the PowerPoint here. Yellow is not a good color. Let's do.
1375.
All right, I'm gonna do 25 actually. Hold on. Oh my gosh.
25, 275.
So 25 and 275. 5 and 5, right?
Yeah.
Prime. I'm gonna do 25 again. Okay. So what is my answer? X equals what?
25 square root 11.
25 square root 11, and I am talking about
C.
The height of
A.
the tower.
Centimeters. I mean meters.
meters. That would be a very small tower if it was centimeters. You would not be getting any TV reception.
At all.
All right, questions?
Wait, did you say if it's 11 meters from the dimension?
All right, so now we're given the length of the diagonal. So the diagonal of a square measures 7 square root 2 meters. Find the length of the sides of the square. So again, I'm going to go ahead and draw a picture. I'm going to draw the diagonal across the square. I'm going to label the diagonal 7 square root 2. I am going to write a let statement. I am letting x equal the lengths of the sides of the square. They're both x since it's a square. X and x.
B squared equals 7 square root 2.
Yep. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, this is one of those times where I wouldn't use a and b. You could use a or b. Remember that they're the same. That's going to be key to solving this. If we had two variables, we wouldn't be able to do it, okay? You need to know that they're the same length because it's a square. So if you want to use a and a, you could. If you want to use b and b, you could. You could use x and x. Either way, the next line is going to look like this. Now, on your test last week, a lot of you struggled with this. You would square the square root 2. You'd forget about the 7. Okay? This is 7 squared, square root 2 squared. So don't forget to worry about the 7 as well. So we can combine like terms over here.
Wait, what? Whoa.
1x squared plus 1x squared is 2x squared. Okay, back here. 7 times 7 is what?
49.
What is square root 2 squared?
2.
2. What is 49 times 2?
You gotta multiply them still.
Uh-huh.
I thought. Oh, okay. I didn't know you had to multiply.
All right, from here, what should I do? Divide by 2.
Whoa.
Are you excited that it's 49?
Yeah.
I'm excited. Why?
Because
It's a perfect
7.
It's a perfect square. The answer is 7
So now everything.
meters.
That's why it's a square.
Don't forget the period because it's an abbreviation.
Okay.
This isn't English, Josh.
All right. Any questions on this one?
Period either. Oh man.
The length of the side of a square whose area. Ooh, we're getting good now.
I don't like that.
All right.
We don't have anything
I don't think you should bully people.
Okay. So now we're talking about area of a square. Do you guys know how to find area?
Wasn't that like,
Length times width. Now, if it's a square,
it would have to be the same.
you're multiplying the same number by itself, right?
That's 15.
Which is the same as
We're at 500.
You guys have it a little bit backwards. X times X is X squared.
Equals 500.
So we were just working through what the area of this is going to be. The area is length times width. But the length and the width are the same number because it's a square and not a rectangle. So we were just talking about how it's actually going to be X times X, which is X squared. So this side is going to be X squared. What's the area?
It's weird number.
500. It's already in the directions, okay? So I'm just going to rewrite that. Instead of area, I'm going to use the 500. Instead of length times width, I'm going to use X squared because it's X times X. All right, now that thing you guys are all trying to get at a little too early. This is where you take the square root.
Wow.
50 and 10.
All right, so there's the answer. If you need the tree, I like to use 100 because then I can just do 10 and 10 and stop. Okay? So even though they're not prime, they are repeaters. You guys are getting better at the trees. I don't feel like I need to spend a whole lot of time explaining it, right?
Homework time.
Okay. Whoops. All right. The summary's missing. What did we learn today?
Pythagorean theorem.
What is the Pythagorean theorem?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Very good. This is your makeshift summary. I'm sorry the slide went, I don't know, somewhere. All right, here comes your homework.